18 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who is with me tonight?
Stefan JD.
And Stuart Hughes.
All right, and before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout-out to another podcast called Freak Nation Podcast, where they have about 2 episodes a month. For each episode, they dig into a different like spooky house or something of that nature in a different city. So if you get a chance, please go take a listen, and you will see their website should be in our show notes when you're looking at this episode. And since I guess this kind of was my pick for this week, and this was actually a game that I had thought about right before we even really put together our schedule at all. I had wanted to do this game because I love this game, and this game is Captain America and the Avengers.
America still needs you.
Oh God, I forgot how bad this game's dialogue was before we started playing it.
I kind of love it because it's so cheesy and weird, and like it's such a comic book game.
Yeah.
Oh, and
it's
before we
have the period.
And before we get too far into it, we're talking about the arcade version, which is also the Genesis, and the SNES version that came out in 1991, 1992. We're not talking about the Nintendo version, which is a completely different game because none of us played it, I don't think. So
I want to point out, I also found out that much like our last episode, Shed of Colossus, Captain America and the Avengers also has a tie to an Adam Sandler movie, which is really weird.
You got to explain that now.
Yeah, apparently an arcade cabinet for Captain America and the Avengers shows up in the movie Airheads with Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi. It's actually a pretty good movie.
I know of it, but I never seen it.
It's kind of weird. It's a bunch of metalheads. Yeah, it's pretty good. A bunch of metalheads take over a radio station to like get their album out there.
You see, when you tune into this podcast, you now get Adam Sandler facts too to go with your whale facts.
So we've got our whale facts, our Adam Sandler facts. Adam Sandler reviews of movies that came out in the 90s.
Not what I expected on this show. But no, I mean, we're playing this game mainly because Infinity, with Endgame, it just came out. We want to do something where everybody's in that Captain America mood to talk about this game. I mean, I had a lot of good, fond memories of this game. The first time I ever saw this game, I never saw the arcade cabinet. I had went to my cousin's house, and we went down the basement, and it was both my cousins were sitting there, and they're playing this game. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And it was Captain America and the Avengers for Genesis, and I did not know who Captain America or Iron Man or Vision or Hawkeye or any of these guys were. Like, I didn't know nothing. I'm just like, oh, this game looks cool. It's like Final Fight. And ever since then, I had a love for these 4 Avengers more than anyone. And it wasn't until later I realized, oh, this is why. This is the game that made me love Captain America and Iron Man. Like, anyone else have any memories of this game before?
I actually played it in the arcade because during like birthdays for family members, we'd always go to like the local pizza place. And down here it's called Peter Piper Pizza. And and they would always have the beat 'em up arcades. This one specifically was right next to TMNT, so it was like a back and forth between, playing both of them.
I was only like vaguely aware of this game because much like Stefan, I would go play arcade games at a pizza place for my family outings. We would go to Cece's, however. Cece's is a fun little disgusting pizza buffet that is it is like downright awful, but I swear to God the pizza is like somehow great because of it.
They have them here too.
Yeah,
I don't go to them, but they're around somewhere.
I would not recommend it, like if you care about your health at all. But but they always had they had that golf game that every single arcade place has, the golf game with like the roller ball to do the putting and stuff. And then they had Captain America, the Avengers, Galaga, and Time Crisis. And I think I spent my entire childhood on Time Crisis and Galaga, and I never even bothered touching Captain America and the Avengers.
Time Crisis, that's the one with the light. That's the light gun game with the foot pedal, right?
The one? They had the light gun game, Time Crisis, and Galaga. And those games are just so fucking fun. That
they're
like
also so many years apart. Like, that's just strange to me because Time Crisis.
That's CC's, baby.
I guess, yeah.
They take what they can get.
I love Time Crisis, but that's a whole nother story. I think later on I was aware that there was an arcade version of this game, but I've never seen a cabinet, unfortunately. The cabinet that I saw when I was a kid was the Spider-Man arcade. Spider-Man the video game or something like that for arcade. That no one's ever really heard of that game. Which also is a beat 'em up with Spider-Man, Black Cat, Namor, and Hawkeye. Again, I like all those characters, but Namor. I don't like Namor at all. Well, I guess I didn't care for a half-naked guy in a little Speedo running around, so I didn't, I was a kid.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Vision, because Vision's like uncomfortably buff in this.
Well,
and basically only wearing a Speedo. It's just really strange.
I mean, when I was a kid, I remember thinking Vision was the dumbest freaking character in this game because at least in Genesis version, he walks around with his hands crossed, he shoots right from his head, and he's just stupid. And I didn't play as him. I always played as Hawkeye or Iron Man. But, fast forward 20 years later, I had the first appearance of Vision on my wall, and he's probably one of my favorite Marvel characters. But hey, but that's the nostalgic that I had for this game.
Speaking of Vision shooting out lasers out of his head,
you mean out of his crotch?
Or out of his crotch.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that Iron Man in this video game shoots giant Cheetos out of his hands.
Every character is just slightly wrong in the best way. My favorite was there was a flying section where I purposely died because I wanted to pick Hawkeye and Captain America because there's a flying section in a game and 50% of the characters don't fly. I was like, what are you going to do? Things. Yeah, they get little jetpack looking things. They're weird.
Yeah, the enemies are also... We should talk about the enemies. They're just incredible. They're all from the comic books, too. And
you mean the villains? Or you want to talk about
sorry, the main villains, the boss battles, and they all have ridiculous one-liners.
We'll start with the first two. Would you want to say the one-liner for me?
The first one being Claw and Living Laser.
Which I never knew that was Living Laser until I played the arcade version that has a name at the bottom. But is that the one they go, "You will not escape. You will be the one escaping"? Or is that Whirlwind?
Yeah, that's Whirlwind.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the ridiculous Whirlwinds.
Man, the dialogue in this game is just god-awful.
I also like how, the generic enemies, the main generic enemies, are harder to beat than anything else in the game, including the bosses, which I found really funny. The guys that walk around in, the blue bodysuits with, the silver Speedos, those guys gave me so much grief. But then, Whirlwind came out and I kicked his ass. I was like, what the hell?
The line for them was, "Don't interfere, Avenger!
Yeah.
Villains like you must be crushed." Yeah.
Yeah, so in this game, apparently, the Avengers are the bad guys. You're just beating up scores of righteous citizens.
The SNES version. The Genesis version, when I knew as a kid, was "Don't disturb us. Why should it go well?" I mean, that is just stupid as hell.
I was glad to see Claw again, though, because...
he's an underrated character in Marvel.
He's such a weird character, because his name is Claw, but his abilities have nothing to do with him having a claw.
No, it's all about sound and sound wave. I mean, he's a Fantastic Four villain. He's not even an Avengers villain.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Living Laser a Fantastic Four villain too? Because I
think so, yeah.
Well, he's
he's an Iron Man villain, I would say.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Living Laser is one of those characters that I don't know much about. Claw I studied up on because of this game. Again, as a theme going throughout this episode, all my favorite villains and characters somehow include in this game. Weird how that works. But
Claw, most people will know as Andy Serkis's character from Black Panther and Age of Ultron. Again,
Spoiler.
Nothing to do with spoilers. Spoilers. Andy Serkis plays a character in Black Panther named Claw. They refer to him by name very early on.
All right, and another villain from the movies is Crossbones. He's that guy in Ultron that explodes.
Is it
Ultron? No,
he's he's the dude who has a much bigger role in Winter Soldier as not Crossbones.
No, just Brock Grumlow. And also, fun fact, I have first appearance of Crossbones too, thanks to my wife.
Nice.
Again, another character I like simply because of this damn game. I was looking at the list of characters, and I have a bunch of these first appearances, all because I fell in love with this game. But, I want to talk a little about Whirlwind, but I should talk a little about the game. So each level you go through is your classic beat 'em up. You walk around, punch dudes in the face, normal beat 'em up stuff, and then you have many boss fights. We talked a little about you have Living Laser, Claw, but then you get to Whirlwind, which has the stupid dialogue. But I mean, Whirlwind is one of my favorite villains, even though he's a dumbass character. But it's because of this game.
He's no Stiltsman, but he's up there with ridiculous.
Stiltsman's terrible.
I like
Stiltman.
Stiltman's awesome.
I never bought the first appearance of Whirlwind, but it takes place in an Avengers comic. Is his first appearance.
Yeah.
I think there's ants on the cover too, if I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, he also has the alias, the Human Top, which I found hilarious.
I had his figure when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite toys to play with the Whirlwind figure.
Really?
Yeah. I really like Whirlwind.
My favorite stupid toy I ever had was a McDonald's toy of the mech from Dexter's Laboratory. I love that thing.
And then, so like, if we talk a little bit, like, it isn't until the second level where they introduce the wonderful part where you're flying, and then like Vision and Iron Man both just fly through the sky, but Hawkeye and Captain America get these little jet things that Wonder Man, as they called them in this game, delivers to you.
And that's another little thing is that like all the other Avengers that like nobody gives a crap about show up from time to time to help you out. Like there's Quicksilver, Wonder Man, and Wasp.
Yep.
Was that who was in the flying level? Wasp?
Yep, that's Wasp.
They're so tiny on the screen, and I could not tell like if I was actually interacting with it in any way. And I was like, I don't know if this is a character or if this is something they just threw in the game because they were like, screw it, like just throw wings on a tiny version of Hawkeye.
Well, when I was a kid, I never realized that was Wasp because I didn't know who Wasp was. It wasn't until much later as an adult when I was playing this game, and I'm like, oh, that's Wasp. Because this game doesn't, like in the Genesis and SNES version, it doesn't give you names of the characters. You have to just know who they are. I mean, maybe a couple it does, but only in like the weird little dialogue before a level when it says.
Yeah, I definitely had to look up.
Yeah, I think when you pick up one of their power-ups, like Captain America or somebody will be like, "Thank you, Quicksilver."
Oh yeah,
Wonder Man. Yeah,
except that doesn't look anything like Quicksilver to me in the comics. Like that, I didn't know it was Quicksilver until way later.
I couldn't even tell that Wasp was like a female character model because it was just wings on a little dot. Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was a dragonfly.
That she like oddly shot forward for some reason, or would just like bounce forward. Is that what it was? Because I thought she was just bouncing off my head, and I was like, You
shoot her forward to take out enemies in front of you. I think.
I never let off the fire button, so I couldn't tell if it was doing anything extra. Because I was just crotch chopping enemies as much as I could.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I break down and keep using Hawkeye and Captain America because I can't help it. My favorite. I mean, all four of the characters are my favorite, but I really like Hawkeye so much. I do not know why, but I really like Hawkeye. Not in the movies. I don't like Jeremy Renner Hawkeye. I like this Hawkeye.
I like Jeremy Renner Hawkeye. He doesn't do much, but like I don't know. I like his like just presence.
I can't.
You know what bothers me about Jeremy Renner Hawkeye is like if Captain America can get a helmet, just give Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye his Hawkeye helmet. Just, like a flared up helmet.
Yeah, why not? You have no idea how bad I want him to put on the regular costume, or I also want him. There's no Funko Pop of Hawkeye in his in the classic costume, which I want really bad. But
maybe they'll do it because Black Widow's getting her own standalone movie now, right?
That's true.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
And you can't have a Black Widow movie without Hawkeye in there, at least in this in the current universe. So maybe they'll have like a little joke where he has a little helmet.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that there's some cameo because to me, this is always the classic Hawkeye in this stupid costume, not the ultimate version of Hawkeye, which we have in the movies where he has the sunglasses essentially. But no,
I never understood Hawkeye as a character because his whole thing is that he's kind of like Deadshot. He's got like expert marksman skills. But if he's got expert marksman skills, then why choose to go with the bow and arrow?
Just use a gun.
Yeah, just use a gun. I guess you don't want to have somebody that just blatantly kills people. But then you have the Punisher, so.
Hawkeye comes out in the 60s, and he was a villain at first. He's Tales Suspense. Yep. He's a villain for the first two appearances, and then he becomes a hero later on and joins the Avengers in Avengers 16.
Okay.
Black Widow also starts off as a villain in the comics, and then she looks nothing like what her character looks like now. I mean, she's like wearing like a dress and has these weird like.
It's more like femme fatale, right?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I do not like that original appearance. I like the more current one that you see.
ScarJo Black Widow just kicks ass.
Yes, she does. That too. But I did like the fight with the giant robot, as the arcade version called it, but it's actually a Sentinel.
Yeah, a single Sentinel, which is weird.
I never knew it was a Sentinel until more recently, because back as a kid, I probably played this before the X-Men cartoon came out, so I didn't know what Sentinels were.
I assumed it wasn't a Sentinel because you just fight one, and the Sentinels famously attack you. Like in the comics, they always show up in like dozens of them. They're like an army.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it was Master Mold.
Master Mold would be a lot bigger than that, though. If you think about it, like Master Mold is gigantic. Usually in the comics. I've seen his first appearance. Never bought it.
It would have been great if we played this and the Mandarin was the same as in the Iron Man movie, where he's just like nobody.
That would have. The Mandarin in this game was cool, though. I mean, to me, it was Shredder.
I like how everybody moved past that. Everybody's just like forgotten about the Mandarin in the movie. It's like, whatever. We don't want to talk about it.
I've never forgotten that movie. At the end of this episode, we'll talk about. I do want to talk about our MCU list, but not yet. But no, I mean, the Mandarin in this game was like, to me, as I said, I called him. I always thought of him as Shredder. He's just super badass in that underwater level.
I would say he looks cool, but his high-pitched, squealy voice does not. It feels weird.
You could hear it over the constant.
Yeah.
I mostly played as Vision, so all I heard was like the terrible NES sound of him shooting, and I never let off the fire button. So at one point, I was just like, I gotta take my headphones off and just do this normally. Without sound, so I can get past this, because it's so much noise.
I played it without sound, so I was missing some of the wonderful dialogue. But I played this game enough as a kid that, I never beat this game. Maybe one. I take it back. I beat it once with my friend Rich. Other than that, I'd get up to like Crossbones or get near the end, but I'd never be able to really finish it. I run out of lives and continues. Because this game is hard.
It is.
Yeah. I just wish all the sound effects were a little like quieter, because the music is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The music is also just like Pokemon Stadium music, but it is really good.
Yeah, it's like really bombastic, like bum 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 bum. Like,
why did it sound like Star Wars?
I don't know.
I heard the Star Wars song coming out when they're getting their medals.
Darth Vader comes out for no reason.
That's not the one I was thinking of, but I was thinking the one when they get their medals in the very end, but that's a different reason.
Oh yeah.
That's And then the second big boss you fight, at least the end of scene 2, is you fight the Executioner, which is the blue guy with the whirling blade hand thing that cuts off the tree and fans it away for no reason.
Is that in the Grim Reaper?
I think is his name Grim Reaper, and I just call him that's Grim. What the hell am I saying? Screw me. Fucking
Grim Reaper, Executioner, same thing.
No, Executioner is someone else completely.
He hasn't showed up at all in the movies, right?
God. No, Grim Reaper hasn't. No, the reason why I called him Executioner and completely screwed up is because in the arcade version, when I was taking screenshots and playing it, it calls him Executioner, and I completely forgot that's not Executioner. The guy in with Asgard, right, Stefan?
I don't actually know that one.
Well, you can Google why I talk, please.
I'm looking up to see if he's appeared in the movies at all. But
the Grim Reaper's not in the movies, but the Grim Reaper, fun fact, is actually Wonder Man's brother. And he tries to kill Vision throughout the comics at different points because Vision somehow is Wonder Man's conscience put into it that creates Vision. So I think Wonder Man dies at some point or something in the comics. Right. So Grim Reaper hates Vision or tries to kill Vision, something like that. But
everyone hates Vision.
Yeah, and you were saying Executioner. Yes, he is he's the dude that betrays them for a short while in Ragnarok, and then decides to be a good guy near the end.
Oh, Carl Urban! Oh my God, I love him. He's amazing in Ragnarok.
Yeah. Ragnarok's an amazing movie.
He's like my favorite character in that fucking movie.
What did he say? This one's called Diz, and this one's called Troy.
Yeah, this is Des and Troy. And they have infinite ammo until they don't need to. It's such a joke on 80s action movies where they just fire nonstop until the plot demands they can't. It's so good. I fucking love his role in that movie.
I can't get over it. I was calling Grim Reaper the wrong name this entire time. Didn't even realize it right away. I'm just mad at myself now.
I'm mad now that I know who the Executioner is.
He's an early character too, for comics. Grim Reaper comes later. I know I've looked up his first appearance. I don't have it, but I looked it up.
Let's see. His first appearance was in the Avengers number 52.
Yeah, later. And Executioner should be way earlier though. Because I know the Legion, not the Legion of Doom, whatever the hell Masters of Evil, I think is what they call themselves. That's early Avenger comics.
Right.
Way early, 4 or 5, something around there.
Executioner shows up in Journey into Mystery number 103.
Okay, so.
Which was back in which was in 1962? 1952.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty.
Wow.
So he's much older than the Avengers.
Yeah, that's when it first came out. So yeah, he's a pretty old character.
Yeah, I figured he was. I didn't think he was a recent character at all. I mean, they're just
Scourge. That's what his name was in the movie. Scourge the Executioner.
Yeah,
No.
Scourge.
That's right, because he his name isn't even the Executioner. He just gets assigned to the role of Executioner, and no one actually calls him it.
That's kind of
great.
how
but
they do it.
In the game, he is actually probably one of the most easiest bosses, I think, compared to all the other ones. Him and Whirlwind are pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, Mandarin is not easy. The Wizard, like the mini boss, the first mini boss of the third level, he's not too bad, but he's not meant to be bad either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't even know that was the Wizard until way later.
This game has like the weirdest people working for Red Skull.
Yeah, well, I think they're all mind controlled. Is the story of this game?
Yeah,
yeah, because why would you want to work for a Nazi? Like, and help the Nazi agenda like move forward? That would just be weird.
What do you think? Like, I don't know, maybe the Mandarin would be into that or something. Crossbones is definitely into it.
Yeah,
super into joining the Nazis.
I don't know if Crossbones was even Hydra in the comics, was he?
I don't.
I know his first appearance. I know is like it's part of a 6-part miniseries where they're trying to go after some jewel or something. I know that. I didn't read it, but I have all 6 parts.
I think he works with Red Skull and like the Skeleton Crew. I think it was like him and Red Skull and Jack-o'-lantern and some other people.
Let's see.
Those comics get so confused.
Yeah, and then they retcon everything eventually. I mean, it's just kind of how these things go. But also, the thing that cracked me up the most was the octopus boss you fight a little bit later. They called him in the arcade version Mech Taco.
Mech Taco.
I don't know why. I have no idea why. That was the description. Mech Taco.
Somebody was eating tacos that day and was like, "Yep, I got the perfect name."
I was trying to think, is it an abbreviation for something? But how do you abbreviate? Like, I'm like, what could it be? And I'm like, I got nothing.
It must be one of those instances where they're like, they just need like lorem ipsum or something, and they're like, screw it, we'll put Mech Taco in and we'll change it later. And then they just forgot to change it.
Tactical Assault Combat Operative? But I don't think that's what it stands for. Is
it one of the Final Fantasies where one of the weapons is named like, one of the weapons has this like awesome name and the description is like, don't forget to name this weapon later or something?
God, I don't know.
That's the official description of the weapon.
Man, we need to do a Final Fantasy game someday on the show. So bad.
We'll find a way to work with it.
Oh, I got plans.
That'll be a 3-week progress.
Yeah. I haven't gotten there yet. And then after you finish the underwater level, also Namor pops up in this game for no reason other than they say they're down below or whatever his dialogue is. I don't remember.
That's pretty much what he says. Yeah, he's like, "Go after him, get to it,
and see ya." Jump in the water. I mean, Vision and Iron Man like, "Hey, we'll just go normal," but Hawkeye and Captain America got to put on little scuba gear helmets that they just appear on them as they jump in the water.
I'll be honest. For the most part, after I was kind of fell off of the Pokemon Stadium music, I was like, I really need to like listen to OK Go while I play this game because every fucking level starts with OK Go, and I heard it so much I was like, man, I haven't heard OK Go in a while. I should listen to them. Like the last half of this game was me just watching music videos in the background.
That fits with this game because I finished this recently. I was playing the arcade version on my phone, and I just sat down and it's like 2, 3 in the morning. I can't sleep. And I'm like, I'm just gonna finish this game, and I didn't care about deaths or anything because I just put new extra coins in quotations there.
That was pretty funny though because I had a shuffle. And the soundtrack to my Mandarin fight was "Here We Go Again." I was like, "This is oddly appropriate."
That's a good song.
It is a good
By the way, "Here We Go Again." I started singing it, but I stopped myself from vocalizing the singing. But it was playing in my head. All right. No, I mean, and then after you finish the underwater part and you beat the Mandarin in his little underwater base, you go to space because of course you got to go to space.
Yes,
ruined my punchline. I was all getting all set.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hey, go ahead. We'll cut this out.
No, we won't. But yeah, you fight Juggernaut, which I never knew was Juggernaut because anybody who's played this game or seen the images that I posted on the group, or will see if I haven't posted them yet, I will be. That is not Juggernaut because last time I remember, Juggernaut didn't have a freaking Cyclops eye in his head. I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
Yeah, I should also point out that if you want to survive in space, all you need is like a bubble helmet and a jetpack. You need absolutely nothing else on you.
Not when you're Captain America.
Like Vision or Iron Man. Like Iron Man, it even goes. Iron Man, it makes a point in the beginning of the game when it's giving you the character descriptions, where it's like Iron Man's suit gives him the ability to go underwater or fly in space. And I saw that and I was like, I think it does a little bit more than that, but okay. I didn't know that was setting me up for the underwater and space section.
This is early Iron Man, though, too. I mean, he didn't have as many. Well, 90s. He's probably been everywhere in the 90s. Anyway.
He still like punch people though. It's not like the suit's only ability is like they made it sound like the only thing the suit did was essentially it was a spacesuit. Like I mean, it is made of steel.
Oh, one thing I thought was funny. I thought Iron Man's attack was funny. Like when you would jump and then hit punch, he just like goes flying at him like fist first into the ground almost like a dive.
He does a dive kick move. Fighting as Iron Man is basically playing dive kick.
Isn't it more like a dive punch?
It is, but there are dive punches and dive kick.
Okay,
dive kick is a very intricate game, my friends.
I can't even remember what Vision does. Kick. But okay, back to Juggernaut. Juggernaut was terrible. Like he doesn't look like Juggernaut. He rolls around after you, which again, I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time Juggernaut was rolling around things trying to get people.
Yeah. Poor Juggernaut. He has probably gotten like the worst out of everybody.
In this game? Hell yeah.
Just in general.
I like Juggernaut a lot. He's one of my favorite X-Men villains probably up there. Well, up there with Apocalypse.
He's great, but he always hits the short end of the stick for any adaptations. Vinnie Jones's Juggernaut was okay. Deadpool 2's Juggernaut was probably my favorite.
That was good.
I hated Juggernaut in Last Stand. That guy was awful.
Oh yeah. Vinnie Jones is an amazing asshole actor, but like I would totally cast him as Juggernaut, but just that movie was just a mess.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in years, but I
like
didn't mean to rewatch it.
Juggernaut.
I don't want to.
And they kind of like drop the ball with everything in X-Men: Last Stand, where I guess you could cure being a mutant. That kind of goes against the whole like analogy of mutant.
Well, it's just one of those issues. I mean, the underlying issue with the X-Men movies, at least in the beginning, kind of where it was like 1 and 2 have a set path they're headed, and then you change directors, you kind of change vision. You didn't have somebody saying, "This is what we're doing. This is what we're gonna do. This is what's gonna connect." There was nobody organizing that, which you needed when you start building something.
Yeah,
like what
it's like
MCU is doing.
Like just the whole concept of like the cure for that movie too. It's just like, it just ruined everything.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It just ruined like their whole message because the X-Men has always been. Like the movies have always been about like kind of like loosely discrimination and like homophobia and stuff of these people are different but there's nothing we can do to change that so we just all need to live together. But then there's a cure and it's like wait what are you trying to say here, movie?
I mean
because Anna Paquin gets the fucking cure and now she's happy so cures are good.
I mean I am excited to bring Rogue back into the MCU, to bring Rogue and all the X-Men in the MCU to see if they see where they go down that road.
Just as long as it's anybody but Anna Paquin.
I like her, but I
hate her so much. She's fine, but like, just don't have her do her fucking Southern accent. Like, why? She's from Canada, and every role she plays, they have her do her Southern accent, and it's just the worst, most annoying accent.
She does a great job in True Blood. I mean, it fits the Southern accent when they're deep in Louisiana. It fits.
I hate it in True Blood as well.
That's a good show.
I watched all of True Blood for every character except for Sookie. Every other character, I was like, yes, I'm totally on board. I love all these characters. I love all the side stories going on. And they're like, all right, we're going to do the main story now. I'm like, skip it. I don't need to watch this episode.
I just watched that show recently.
It's a game.
Okay, back to Avengers. So the next villain you fight after you beat the fake Juggernaut in this game, you fight Ultron. Which this is my first ever experience of Ultron. Like I didn't even know this guy was named Ultron. Back when I was a kid, this is Robot Man to me.
Ultron, who's also mind controlled, maybe, even though
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not my favorite version of Ultron. I don't really care for or remember that well the Ultron version of Age of Ultron. Like I don't like that version either.
The James Spader Ultron. That's okay.
I like James Spader, but I didn't really care for that Ultron.
Yeah, neither did I.
I mean, I like Ultron in the, let's see, Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers cartoon. Now, that is a good freaking event. If you want to watch something, I mean, it's hard to find. I don't know if it's on anything streamable. It's not anything streamable. It went 2 seasons, but it is a super good Avengers cartoon. It is definitely worth watching if you get the chance, or anyone listening. It's great.
That's probably
I'll have to check that out.
Is that like the best had a bit to drink before this episode. That's probably like the best like Marvel animated show. Usually DC, in my mind, DC kind of has the animated shows on lock.
Yeah, they do it better because they can't do live action until recently, but yeah, they do really good.
Some might say they still can't do live action. Well, Shazam is okay.
So Shazam is great, Wonder Woman's great, Aquaman's great, BVS is
parts of Wonder Woman are really good. I love a lot of parts of Wonder Woman. Some parts I was just like, all right, we're still doing like the Zack Snyder dark shit.
And they were still getting past that, but
it kind of fits a little bit better with like World War One, but
he wasn't fired yet either. I mean, he wasn't involved with that one, but he was still
his stink was on it.
Yeah,
but just like that movie's got some amazing stuff in it. Like her running through no man's land is fantastic.
Yeah, but I'm also a big World War One buff, so I love this stuff. Like, well, I'm a big history buff. I shouldn't say not even World, but I like the fact that it included World War One because you don't see it in enough things. It's not. It's the forgotten war for a lot of stuff because World War One leads into two. But that's another story.
I don't know if this is
the history podcast.
Well, I don't know if this isn't the history podcast, but I want to bring up something incredibly stupid that I heard the other day.
Hey, people love our whale facts. People ask for more. We can take whatever wonderful facts that have nothing to do with this game you got for us.
This will lead into people that know me know. For whatever reason, I like stupid, crazy people are just attracted to me. Like they just like smell me walk into a building and they just all coalesce around me just to give me these weird interactions. And so I was talking to somebody very, very dumb the other day, and we were talking about like an artist, Edward Munch, who did the Scream, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, he died in 1944," and this person went, "Oh, that's when World War II started." I was like, "Close, that's when Hitler died." So they're like, "Yeah, but it's when we started fighting China," and I was like, "Oh my god,
China? What? Oh my god!"
Like this person was in the military. Jesus Christ, you should know this. You should know.
I remember we dropped those atomic bombs on Canada. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, we got hope.
Beat the Ruskies out of Hong Kong.
Oh god!
Like, you gotta stop talking to me. I can't do this right now.
That was funny. Okay, I'll take over. And then after you beat Ultron, you go to the last level of the game, which I know I got to as a kid, but I don't think I did very well ever at that level, even though there's not. It's a very short. Like, you just... And so when I was a kid and I played, I never knew who those two weird brother bosses you fight with the saw blades going around the floor. The arcade version calls them Control and Control. Is that really who they were? Like, who the fuck is Control?
I have no idea.
Control is... Aren't they the bad guys from... Get Smart?
They might be, but I have no idea.
It's Control. No, Control is the good guys. Get Smart works for Control against Chaos, I think.
There's your Get Smart facts.
Get Smart is amazing. And everyone should watch both the show and the adaptation with Steve Carell, because they're both really good.
Because I thought maybe at one time they were called the Blood Brothers, because the Blood Brothers are a Marvel villain who teams up with Thanos. No, they're called the Controller. That's who. Okay, they're from Iron Man 12.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're like they're not blue suit silver speedo, they're silver suit blue speedo.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Those are two different characters within the Captain America and the Avengers video games.
All right, let's see. I'm looking up. It's a great radio right now. I'm looking up the cover of Iron Man 12.
The Controller, showed up in Iron Man 12.
I'm trying to see if I had it. I do not have it. Spoiler alert. I never bought it.
Members of the New Enforcers with.
I want it now.
And Eel.
You know, I mean, that's one of the problem with this game for me is that, like, I actually want all the first appearances of every character in this game, even though that's never going to happen. Just because I just love this game, even though it's not a great game, it's your average beat 'em up. It's kind of cool, but it just has so much nostalgic for me because I played it a lot as a kid, and I was having a trip down memory lane playing it again. I really was.
Yeah.
It was great. Oh, okay. And then after you beat the Controller, which I'm pretty sure is only one guy, but they decided to put two of them in this game because why the fuck not?
Oh, they aren't named Controller in the game, though.
Yeah, but it just screwed me off. It just because I never knew who they were. I never even heard of Controller.
Outside of the comics, they've shown up in like a couple episodes of the Iron Man show.
That show is god awful if you rewatch it.
It does not hold up well.
I tried. I went through a phase a couple of years, maybe let's say 4 years ago, where I tried to go back and watch a bunch of the old cartoons as a kid that I remember watching. Could not do the Iron Man cartoon. It was just awful.
The only ones I tend to remember fondly are probably the X-Men animated series.
it doesn't hold up as good, but it's still entertaining.
It doesn't hold up as good, but there are some like arcs in it that are worth watching again. Like the whole oh god, who is the guy? This is gonna be where I apologize. I don't have a whole lot of comic knowledge. Who's the guy that gives Scott and his brother he gives them the ability to control their powers?
Xavier? Or is he thinking Corsair?
I think it's Corsair. I think it's Corsair. They go to
father. Spoiler alert.
No, it's not Corsair then. It's they go to space and they meet somebody and he gives them their powers back. I can't remember who it is, but that arc is really good. It's like the only time I've ever liked Cyclops as a character. Literally the only time.
He's actually a big douchebag in the comic books. Like he's
awful everywhere. He's just a
prick.
Yeah.
Why won't Jean Grey love me? Stop whining.
All right.
Do anything.
And then the last boss fight before you get the Red Skull, you fight Crossbones, which is a character that we talked a little about earlier in this episode. But I freaking love this character for no logical reason other than this game. I just thought he was so cool. He's throwing his turtle shell bombs at you and throwing knives at you, and I'm like, and he's got a skull on his face. I'm like, he's so cool.
I actually appreciate the way they did his costume in the movies. Like he's just kind of like scraped off the black paint on his mask to make it look like a skeleton.
I liked it too. What I really liked about it though was that's the only time he has his costume, and he gets it about 5 minutes before he gets blown to shit.
Which sucks. I was bummed that he wasn't.
He is so important in those movies until he gets his name Crossbones, and then he dies immediately. It is so funny to me.
I want to come back to that though. Right after we finish Red Skull, I got something I want to say about that. That I want to wait because that'll go into a whole other argument. So after you beat Crossbones, you fight Red Skull. Spoiler alert: you fight him twice because first you fight Red Skull, and this is normal. He's a little guy. He's jump kicking you and everything like that. And after you beat him, then you get, as they called it in the game, mech. I don't have it saved now. Like robot or skull robot or something like that, or skull mech.
Right. And I looked in the comic books to see if Red Skull is like a robot or has a Red Skull robot at any point. And apparently there's a guy called Arnim Zola, and it's a robot body, and Red Skull's consciousness gets stuck in it.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
And then he escapes, of course. And then the only other thing are these robots called the Sleepers, which are created by the Nazis and Red Skull to carry on their legacy if they're ever like finally defeated. So like they're supposed to wake up if I guess Red Skull dies or something.
Oh, Zola he's the like Weasley dude that's in the other movies.
He's in the first one. He's in First Avenger, and he's also in Winter Soldier, the TV screen.
Yeah, he's the guy played by Toby Jones. Yeah, he's like a Weasley. He's like the Weasley Nazi that's just always with Red Skull.
Yeah,
he's great.
Should we jump into some of the MCU movies then, or anything else you want to say about the game?
Not
a lot left.
It was fun. It was fun to play. Like it's just a like very forgettable beat 'em up.
Yeah, that's a very good description of this game.
There's not like a whole lot to it aside from just kind of like the wackiness of it. One thing I did really love about it was whenever you punch anything, you get like the comic book like crack, plam. I don't know why plam was in there. Nothing has ever made the noise plam, but it's
until now.
Crack, plam, whack. Like that's great, and I wish more games did that. Like I would love if they came out I would love if they came out with yet another Spider-Man game because there's not enough Spider-Man games.
There'll be more.
There'll be more. Like in the new Spider-Man game, it feels like they just went full into the Spider-Verse, and it was like incredibly stylized. So whenever time you punch somebody, it comes up with that like whack, kapow. Like I would love that in a game if it just went full comic book.
I think they did that in Ultimate Spider-Man, didn't they?
Did
the video game?
They might have.
There's too many.
Really. Well, speaking of good Spider-Man games, just to quickly, I'll throw that out. Ultimate Spider-Man for the original Xbox PS2 era. That's a game you're talking about. That's a good game. Then you also had Shattered Dimensions for the PS3 360 era, which is freaking amazing from what I remember of it. Edge of Time, which is okay. Then you have like just the movie tie-ins, which aren't really that great. But you also have the Venom one, Web of Shadows, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's also really good. But speaking of like Avengers game, like since this beat 'em up, I think the next Avengers game you had that was something kind of like this wasn't until Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Right.
And then
probably, yeah.
Yeah, this is still before even any of the MCU started.
Yeah, because I want to say after this was just a string. Well, no, because Spider-Man the video game was came out like the same year as this, I think.
Yeah, but that's all Spider-Man. It's not anything like Avengers or Marvel.
Yeah,
related.
yeah, you didn't get any like huge stuff like that.
I mean, I don't think enough people realize like the Avenger characters weren't really anything big. Like you look at 15 years ago and they weren't. I mean, I guess the comic was selling, but they weren't like in the mass media. Like I'll never forget this. I loved Iron Man because of this game as a kid. And Iron Man movie came out, and I remember seeing some guy wearing an Iron Man shirt, and he was you could tell he was not a comic book fan, not a video gamer, nothing like that. And I'm just like, oh, Iron Man's popular now, and I'm like, I don't like Iron Man anymore. And I remember that, thinking that, and he's kind of calmed down a little bit, I feel, but I remember being sad because it wasn't my thing anymore, and I think that might be one reason I really gravitate towards Hawkeye and Vision, because you ain't gonna see anyone going like, Vision's my favorite character. Just me, just me and my Hawkeye and Vision. You won't hear anyone else saying that.
They were definitely the B list of superheroes in the Marvel universe, and well, for me, it didn't feel that way growing up because I just read all the comics like they were all just superheroes in that world. So I never like saw any of them better than others. I mean, maybe I favored like X-Men or Spider-Man, but to me, the Avengers were never B-listers. But if you go back and you look at everyone else, like how they felt about it, yeah.
Just the guy that got to meet Chris Claremont saying, "Oh, they were just equal to the X-Men to me." I don't believe it.
Oh God. Yeah, I had a really embarrassing encounter with Chris Claremont at a Comic-Con.
Continue.
Elaborate.
But we will not talk about that. Moving along.
All right. One thing I did want to say is I wanted us to say what our favorite MCU movies, not counting Endgame, we're not even going to mention that, but what's your favorite MCU movie? For me, favorite and least favorite. My favorite, still, hands down, Winter Soldier. Partly because it had Crossbones before he comes Crossbones. I freaking just adore Captain America for some reason. I mean, I love that scene when they're in the freaking elevator and they just start just beating the shit out of everybody. I love that. And my least favorite bottom two are Iron Man 3, because that deserves to be in the bottom, and I hate Civil War.
It's funny that people are kind of coming around on Iron Man 3, which is really odd to me.
I haven't seen it again since I saw it in theaters. I don't think I've ever seen it again. I need to rewatch it at some point, but it's not streamable anywhere. Like, I'm watching Iron Man 2 right now. I watched almost the whole thing. That movie still holds up. I'm still enjoying it very much so. Like, I still think it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
I don't think, I don't know. There's none of them that I, actively dislike, I would say.
Right.
Like, they're all, at worst, they're all just kind of, okay.
I mean, only ones that are really okay, or to my opinion, like Hulk is the one that's kind of okay.
Oh yeah, we're counting the Incredible Hulk because I fucking hate that movie.
The Edward Norton one are counting, not.
Okay, no, Edward Norton one I'm fine with. The Eric Bana one I fucking despise that movie.
That's not part of the. I mean,
it's so that movie just pissed me off the first time I watched it.
The reason why Incredible Hulk I think is so different to the MCU because it's included, but it wasn't made by the same team because they were kind of doing their something. Yeah. And then that cameo is kind of a last-minute addition that they put in there where Tony Stark goes up to, I think it was William Hurt or whoever the hell it is, or the commander.
The Incredible Hulk came out after Iron Man, which I think a lot of people forget.
Yeah, but they produced it. I think they were working on it before. I think it's the same year or maybe it's very close. Yeah. It was it's a last-minute thing.
It was written by the same guy who did X-Men Last Stand, but it was also written by the same guy who did X2. So
make of that what you will.
Yeah. He also apparently that guy also did he also co-created Alphas on Sci-Fi, which we should talk about Alphas if we can, just because Alphas is it's such a knockoff X-Men show, but it's so good. That's a show that deserves another season really badly.
It came out in June 13, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man came out. I should know this,
but May, right?
In 2008 May. So I mean, it's only they weren't really I think they kind of must have planned it, but it wasn't. It was kind of loosely.
I think they had some of the same producers on it. I think Kevin Feige produced both.
This is before it really I mean, yes, you have the spoiler at the end where
I don't think they knew how big Iron Man was going to be.
No, they were laying the groundwork for the plan to make, what the MCU became, but I mean, if it wouldn't have made money, it was oh well, nothing would have happened.
It's like those movies they were also pretty big, but I feel like until the Avengers, they were all just like fun movies, and the Avengers happened, and everyone was like, "Fuck, this is it. This is what we're going to be doing for the next 2 years."
That broke so many records when they made the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was so excited when that day the movie came out and everything. That Winter Soldier still beats it for me, but that's probably my second MCU movie if I went and had a list, which I don't have one, unfortunately. But I love that movie, too. The 2012 film is just so good.
Yeah, and as I've been kind of saying, too, I feel like as we move forward, generations are going to look back, and this is going to be like our Monster Mash, our Universal Monsters, like where characters crossed over. Yeah.
Excuse me, Stefan. This generation has its Monster Mash. All right, haven't you seen The Mummy and whatever other movie is probably canceled already that they're gonna make?
Oh, they're all canceled.
Yes.
Did they already officially cancel all of them?
I'm pretty sure. I remember the Dracula one came out. So
God,
yeah, no,
they're
not.
Can you imagine? Well, they should just bring back fucking Brendan Fraser's happy again. They should just bring back Brendan Fraser and just make him like old.
Since we're talking those mummy movies, the first two still hold up. Okay,
yeah, they're good movies. They're really funny.
Oh, does anyone else want to say their favorite MCU movie?
You know, it's really hard to say. Like, I just appreciate certain things from a lot of them. Like. The first Avenger, I really appreciated how Red Skull was portrayed and kind of like I've been waiting for that movie because if you guys remember, there was that terrible '90s version.
What are you talking about? Never heard of it. I remember. Never heard of that movie.
Matt Salinger several times.
Yeah, so like
that's not Captain America. That's a guy in a football helmet with a motorcycle helmet with some wings on. That's not Captain America.
Saves the president who he meets as a child.
Right.
The president's a child, not Captain America. Captain America's never a child.
Fun fact, though, the guy who wrote Catcher in the Rye, that's his son that plays Captain America in that horrible movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big fan of J.D. Salinger in that book when I was in high school, because that book is like a rebel book, and I was like, oh, I'm a rebel, too. So I have a lot of like that book.
You watch BoJack Horseman at all?
No, I don't.
There's a joke in that show where J.D. Salinger faked his death and he's still alive. And I'm trying to remember. He comes back and they're like, J.D. Salinger, you're alive. Like, what do you want to do now that you're alive? You got to come back and like do something. And he creates a show called like Hollywood Celebrities. Do they know things? What do they know? Let's find out. It's like a game show. Just every time I think of J.D. Salinger now, that's the only thing I can think of.
That was not what I was expecting to happen just now, by the way.
Hollywood Celebrities. Do they know things? What do they know? Let's find out.
He didn't die till 2010, by the way.
Yeah.
Because cause I remember he was still alive when I was in high school. He was a recluse, though.
Yeah, he went into hiding.
Yeah. I mean,
because everyone else was a phony. That's all I remember from Catcher in the Rye. Oh, he was mad that everyone was a phony.
There's a lot in that book. Oh, sorry, Steph. I think I kind of... Did you have anything you wanted to say?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like them all. There's some I don't like Civil War. I kind of, like, after going back to it, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah. The thing I'm not the only one. War is everybody likes the beginning of like the airport fight when it's just superheroes punching each other. I feel like the rest of that movie.
I hate that part.
You hate that part? I like that part. I like the beginning of it because it makes
me sad to see them fighting. I can't help it.
I liked it because I was like, oh, finally these massive heroes are gonna like go all out, but they're not like actually trying to kill each other. It's just like it's like a scrimmage essentially. And then like the rest of the movie, I was like,
They did a good job of introducing Spider-Man into that one though with Tom Holland. Yeah,
and he's great in that fight too, because he's just like he's a kid in a game. Like he doesn't realize what's going on.
He's a good Peter Parker. He's the best. He's the best Peter Parker.
Oh, hold on.
100%.
Tobey Maguire is still an amazing Peter Parker.
Tobey Maguire plays a great. Tobey Maguire got spider power. He plays a great Tobey Maguire. That ain't no Peter Parker. That's not Peter Parker. That's just Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider. That's all. I mean that's all. I mean that's straight up what that movie is. Like I was rewatching. I'm like, there's not that many quips. He's kind of sad, depressing most of the time. I'm like,
don't you know that the original Spider-Man movie is shit though? Because when Mary Jane is swinging with Spider-Man, her hair blows left instead of right, and so therefore shit.
That Green Goblin armor though is so damn cool.
That movie is fantastic. Sam Raimi is a fucking genius, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. I love Sam.
Steel. I know two of you get that joke.
There's only two of us here.
Yeah,
I get that reference.
Oh,
I don't know.
Before we continue, I just also want to say fuck Iron Man 3 because of what they did to Mandarin. I hate that movie.
There's parts of Iron Man 3 I like Stefan. There's parts of each movie that I enjoy, and parts of each movie that I think are just really dumb. Like the parts of Iron Man 3 where Tony Stark is just kind of like hanging out in a small town. I could have watched a whole movie about that. That worked for me. Where it's just like him and a kid, and he's just like really down on it. Like he essentially becomes like a recluse, and he's building shit in the garage. I would watch an entire series about him just being this crazy old man building insane gadgets in a garage. Like that was really funny.
You hear that, Disney? That's how you get money from Stuart.
That's how you do it.
You spend the $10 million to get Stuart to watch that movie.
The Disney potato gun coming at you.
Just pay for Robert Downey Jr.'s contract to to do one movie of him in a garage. You don't have to pay for a set. Throw him in someone's backyard.
He's like, you can use mine. I'll let you.
Yeah, you can use mine. I don't have a garage, or I've got a garage. I don't have a shed. We'll work around it. Disney.
He's like, I'll build a shed. As long as you come over, I'll get the shed.
Coming this summer, Iron Room. One man.
Iron Room is a good movie, by the way, with Brie Larson. It's a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Depressing as hell. Good movie. All right, did you have a favorite movie then?
What about you, Stuart? I really can't think of one. Maybe the first Iron Man, maybe.
First Iron Man's really fun. First Thor is pretty fun. I don't know. There's a lot of them that I think are like just fun movies. Like I love Ant-Man, but I love Ant-Man mostly because I could see what it like almost was. I could see like what Edgar Wright's vision for it was, and I really wish we got that. That would have made it my favorite, I think.
That movie is really good though. Even like what we got, I love that movie.
Yeah.
But
we got what we got. It's still really good. I think my favorite is I know my favorite is Thor Ragnarok because Ragnarok's just
great movie.
That movie's such like a deconstruction of 80s action movies thrown in with all this like really stylized like that is like Guardians of the Galaxy was probably the first one to bring back like a whole lot of color, and I really loved that. Guardians of the Galaxy was just really fun, and it had like all these really bright blues and oranges and yellows all thrown in there, and then Ragnarok was just that like cranked to 11, which was really awesome.
You reminded me. I hate Guardians of the Galaxy 2, by the way. Fucking hate that movie.
It's all right.
I just could not. I don't know. It did me in. And when we had the pixels,
okay.
I was done.
That was another one where I only like bits and pieces of it. Like the whole like
too much humor.
They kind of forgot how to write Star-Lord after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where they're like, remember that time he learned all that stuff about being an adult? Nah, fuck that. Like he's just gonna be an asshole.
Yeah, I think Age of Ultron, I don't remember liking it much, but I haven't seen it other than the one time I saw it in theaters, and so I can't really say much about that movie.
Again, parts of Age of Ultron I really liked. Like I liked the beginning of that movie a lot, where they're like just storming the compound.
Yeah, that part is great.
The concept of the floating city was really cool, and kind of how they got it up there was really cool. But just I don't know, that movie just didn't work for me on some level.
I really want to rewatch it.
Right?
Anything else?
Winter Soldier is also amazing. Like Winter Soldier is just a well-made movie. Yeah. Even if it's like it was like a little predictable because they do spend like 10 minutes in the beginning talking about how much he misses Bucky, and then a mysterious character shows up, and you're like, well, it's obviously fucking Bucky. They just had to remind us for 10 minutes who Bucky was.
I knew it was Bucky, but I'm a comic book fan, so I'm like, Winter Soldier, oh my god!
But I don't know. That movie has like a lot of Nick Fury doing stuff, and Nick Fury's just such a cool character.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. When I was watching Iron Man 2, you can see they already had like the scars. I didn't realize because I didn't remember from back then. He has the same like scratch mark scars over his eyes that they don't answer until Captain Marvel. He
also shows up in S.H.I.E.L.D. a couple times, which is really fun.
In the very early, I think, right? I mean, I don't think he continues on long.
No, he shows up in the very beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then he's in one. I think it's a season finale. But it's like whenever he shows up in S.H.I.E.L.D., it's like you're in for a good time because he's just like full Samuel L. Jackson in that show.
I couldn't get in. Like I enjoyed that show at first, but then I fell off of it. I think the third season when they went deep into with the Inhumans and the Hive, and they made
the third season is rough because that's kind of when I think I want to say that was when like Fox and Disney were like really like butting heads on like who owned what. And so they weren't allowed to say mutants again. Part of my love of S.H.I.E.L.D. is watching it and trying to figure out how many different ways they can say mutants without actually saying the word mutant. So they have like enhanced and gifted and like special individuals and stuff. They just keep throwing out words like like Inhumans. Like we can't say fucking mutants. These are Inhumans.
And like the whole push we had with Inhumans with Marvel, everything, comics, Inhumans everywhere. Now it's kind of like, remember that Inhumans movie we were getting, and then we were getting an Inhumans TV show.
We were supposed to get a show. Did that ever come out?
It came out, went like 6 episodes and tanked, and then they got rid of it.
It was on like ABC or something, right?
It did not. Yeah, we did not go far.
That was not a good idea. But just I don't know. I like parts of Shield are really fun. That 3rd season is rough, but I think it's the 4th. I think it's the 5th season with where they do like 3 kind of story arcs, and they're all very stylized. That's like one of my favorite seasons of the show. They do like Agents of Hydra, where it's like an alternate universe. That stuff's great.
I need to watch more of it someday. Oh, the show ran.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. September 29th to November 10th for Inhumans.
Wow. Okay.
8 episodes.
Didn't they eventually get Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
They did.
One of them. Yeah, Robbie Reyes.
He's in the 5th season when they do like the story arcs. Yeah, they do a whole Ghost Rider arc. It's pretty good. Okay. He's a good Ghost Rider.
That's cool. Yeah.
You guys,
I got Yo-Yo in there.
I got some listener questions for us about Captain America.
And be all about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No more. I got no more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. though.
Fucking
first question.
God, who's Daisy's dad? He's Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks shows up. Great.
Because you're a big Twin Peaks fan, right?
I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan, and he's like the perfect like creepy psychopath insane person.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Good actor.
I can't. It's Kyle MacLachlan is the actor's name. I can't think of the character's name. It's like Cal. I don't want to say Cal Ripken, but that's the other actor.
All right.
Cal Zabo. Cal Zabo. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna read some questions we got. First one we got from Sean Fitzpatrick. Is that Ultron? Yes. Yes, it is, sir.
Yes, it is. He is mind controlled, even though he's a robot with no physical mind.
He's a puppet with no strings attached.
Yeah.
But, and then also another question, which I had from Mike Saylor. He said, "Are you also playing that horrible NES one with just Cap and Hawkeye?" Unfortunately, sir, I ran out of time and completely forgot I was going to do that. So I did not.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
No.
Yes, unfortunately,
really
we were totally going to. We accidentally didn't. It was not.
Fun fact about that, though, is that it was Data East who made the arcade game that we played for the show today. And they also made the one that he's talking about with Captain America and Hawkeye. But they They also made a 3rd game called Galactic Storm, Avengers Galactic Storm.
That was years later, right?
It was like a year later.
Oh.
I did play it, and it's absolutely nonsensical. It makes no sense whatsoever.
What system is it for?
I think it was arcade.
Is it a beat 'em up too, or a fighter?
It's like a fighter, but like you are going through the levels like it's a beat 'em up, but with a fighter style on the screen. Yeah, a fighter aesthetic.
I've heard of it. But I didn't.
Other famous games by Data East include Minnesota Fats Pool Legends, an FMV game about famed billiards player Rudolph Minnesota Fats Walderone, which I saw and I was like, I have got to somehow find a way to play that. It looks so weird.
One of us is from Minnesota, or no, I'm not from Minnesota. What the hell am I saying? I live in Minnesota.
None of us are from Minnesota.
I'm from Wisconsin. But okay, next question.
I think Minnesota Fats is dead, sadly, so we can't get him in the episode. I think he actually died before the game came out.
Fun facts you learn on this show, guys. You come for the video games. You stay for the weird facts that we somehow find in this recording.
Got to learn about Minnesota Fats, one of the fattest billiards players of all time.
Another question we had from Sean McLean. So my question is: am I alone? Does anyone else completely hate the voiceovers? No, sir. I enjoy the stupid voiceovers. I love Captain America and the Avengers.
This is kind of like if you played the first Resident Evil. There's just something about it you enjoy. It's just corny, and you just get it. It's part of the period.
It's perfectly cheesy in terms for like a comic book game. More like comic book stuff needs to be more comic booky, I think. Not necessarily all of it, but like you get stuff like Shazam that's a little bit more fun. Stuff like Ragnarok, which is just like super stylized. I would love for more games to be that kind of like to go back to that like level of cheese, even as a joke, just have it like Just every level starting with like some guy yelling "Okay, go" as loud as he can into a blown out mic. Okay, go.
And this one we have two from Tim Walker I want to read, or no, three from Tim Walker. First one, he posted the screenshot and said, "Why should it go well?" from Captain America telling the villains, and I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." Next one, he asked me. Actually, I'm only going to read two, I guess. Next one, he asked me, "What's up with off-model Juggernaut?" I got no fucking idea why Juggernaut looks like the Cyclops. Like, I never knew, as a kid, I never knew that was Juggernaut. I had no idea who the hell the Cyclops thing was.
I have a theory that somebody within Marvel secretly hated Juggernaut, and they just were paying people to fuck him up.
Well, that happened later on.
I mean, it happened in 1996 with Captain America.
Get rid of the comics. Get rid of the X-Men. They don't exist until we get the rights back. Get rid of them. Wolverine gets killed. We're not talking about the X-Men. Yeah, that's kind of what happened with comics for a while. I mean, there's still X-Men comics, but I mean, they were at the wayside. I feel like for a while when the Inhumans are everywhere. Because fuck the Inhumans.
Or the Gifted.
Fun fact about the Juggernaut: Todd McFarlane actually quit drawing the Spider-Man comic that was given to him by Marvel because he wanted Spider-Man to shove a giant sword through Juggernaut's eye, and they would not allow it.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants that.
He went on to make Spawn, so I guess he likes Spawn stuff though.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. I have to read this because I felt personally targeted with this one. From Zach Adam. He said, "Why would anyone want to play as White Vision when Wasp was on that team? Because White Vision is awesome, sir. I have that I had the first appearance of regular Vision and the first appearance of White Vision in West Coast Avengers 55, I think, when they rebuild him. Or one of those, 50 something. In case I'm wrong."
It's so like weird to me in this fucking game. He's so much beefier than anybody else, and I don't understand why. He's like jacked, but like strange. It looks like he's like uncomfortably jacked. He's like those. He looks like those weightlifters you see, like when you see like the picture, like the little ads in the corner of a website that's like, see how you can get this jacked in only 30 days. That's how buff he is, and it's really odd to me.
Oh,
take White Vision XL.
I'm used to Paul Bettany. It's like a skinny little twink.
And last question to read from Michael K. Hughes, he's one of our listeners. Favorite line of dialogue?
Okay, go.
Oh God, what's the fucking awesome? I forgot the escape one. Something about you'll be the one escaping.
You'll be the one escaping.
I love that line.
That's probably the best, most satisfying one, definitely.
Wouldn't it be great if in whatever the next movie was, like whoever's still alive after Endgame says that. I assume Ant-Man's not gonna die.
The next Avengers movie just opens with "Okay, go."
Okay, go. Yeah, it's the next Ant-Man movie. It'd be perfect. It's Ant-Man, and he blows up to like a huge skyscraper size, and he says "Okay, go" because he's so tall. It's like an echo effect.
No, wait. The next Ant-Man movie will start out with the "Here We Go" song for you, and you're just like, yeah.
Okay, I would love that. That'd be awesome.
I would actually work for that because that song is great.
Okay, Go has worked with Sesame Street before. Why can't they work with the Avengers? Make it happen, Disney.
Oh God, should we do shelf or box then? Last you guys want to say about the game or about MCU before we do shelf or box?
I could talk about the MCU for a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to stop that from happening, but you have like a last minute thing.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how things go with this podcast, we might eventually talk about movies too, or like video game movies or stuff, but we'll see.
We'll also probably have to talk about the Disney Plus series that are planned.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff coming.
Yeah, like there's a Hawkeye series coming just for you, Mike. And
I'm a little excited for it, actually. Not completely, because I don't like Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. I don't like Jeremy Renner that much. I think he's an asshole.
Like Jeremy Renner. Is he an asshole? He might be an asshole. I like him as an actor.
He's not. He's a good actor. He's a very good actor. From what I've heard, he's not a nice person, though.
Oh, that sucks.
Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's not nice. But since this is probably the only time I can really mention this, I'm going to show you.
I'm going to get Jeremy Renner as a guest on the next episode.
That'd be awesome.
He's going to be downright charming.
This is not. I guess I can't say that part. I was going to say something, but I probably shouldn't say it because it's not my story.
I don't think we're really at risk of getting Jeremy Renner, so you could probably say what you want.
No, not that part. I'm not worried about that. No, I'm pretty sure we're not going to become some gigantic. I mean, I'd love to see it become some gigantic podcast, but I don't think that's.
I think it'd be funny if we didn't, but we still somehow got Jeremy Renner.
You know, I
like he's just really bored and he just guest stars on small podcasts.
It wouldn't be small long if we had something like that.
After the tag series didn't fan out.
All right. Should we do? You got anything else you want to say about the game? I should clarify that. And then I'll do shelf or box.
I don't think so. Music was really good. I liked some. Yeah, like I said, I liked some aspects of it. I like the comic booky aspects of it.
Me too.
So,
I like how they worked in so many characters.
I am at the crack.
I mean, I would have liked it. I mean, I love the roster, but that's because of nostalgic speaking at this point. Like, whoever they had in that roster, that would be my 4 favorite characters nowadays. That's just what it is.
It's probably like my 4 least favorite. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. It's just they're not. They're
like Captain America might be up there, but not the others.
Hawkeye's he's up there in terms of like he knows where he belongs in that series. Or
he's a loser Avenger compared to some of them. I just like him for some reason, but he's not. He's not that. Yeah, he doesn't fit with the group, in my opinion. But
I think my favorite Marvel character exists outside of the Marvel universe, or at least did. I think my favorite character is Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, the new ones.
Okay, that's a good answer.
All right, I think we should also mention that when we say the Avengers, like everybody in the MCU at one point was an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like kind of like how everybody also has like 5 different groups that they used to belong to. Like, fucking, how many people have been in Heroes for Hire?
Oh God,
man.
That's another one where it's like fucking everybody's been in there, right?
Not as many as you're thinking. But
it's like every character that wasn't good enough to be the Avengers was in Heroes for Hire at one point, right?
I don't think it's that many.
Is it? There's so many fucking tiny groups.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I have a list of all the Avengers here. If you want me to read it, I'm not going to.
How long is that list?
I'm still scrolling. Still scrolling. It's long. I'll leave it at that.
How many? Like a fun thing to do is look up Deadpool and look at his like team affiliations, and it's just
everything.
Like, yeah, it's essentially everything.
But I do want to say the founders. Well, I will say this: the founding team of the Avengers when the comics started. Why is my dog working? Is Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, Wasp, and Hulk. That's the original team.
I thought Wolverine was an original.
Who?
Wolverine?
Wolverine didn't come out till way, way later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hulk 181 is his first appearance, and then he joined the X-Men shortly after that in Giant Size X-Men #1. And yeah.
And
which I really want that book.
30 years.
I really want Giant Size X-Men 1 because that's one of my favorite X-Men in it. Nightcrawler's first appearance.
We should actually bring this up. Do you think Wolverine as a character will show up in any of the future Marvel movies? You think he will?
Yes, 100%.
You think he'll? Hold on. I think he'll show up, but do you think he'll be like an Avenger?
Yes, I give it
maybe.
I give it 3-4 years. He'll be in the squad.
Who could possibly follow Hugh Jackman?
They'll find somebody. I mean,
my only hope is that he's like the actual size he's supposed to be. So he's supposed to be a really short guy.
He's a 4 foot tall dude running around. Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I love the idea of Spider-Man. It's like Tom Holland's like 16-year-old Spider-Man being taller than Wolverine.
That would be. I don't think that's gonna happen, but that would be kind of funny.
That would be really nice. I don't know. You never know. Maybe.
Oh, and then the team doesn't. The team didn't change because in the 1960s, like the first few members that add on to the team, Captain America, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch, not Lich. They all joined up like Avengers 4 and Avengers 16. That's when you get kind of team that a lot of people know, like you had in the movies. That's why Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were in Age of Ultron, because Joss Whedon read it as a kid, and then he remembered that team. Swordsman also joined Avengers 20, but nobody cares about Swordsman or know who he is.
Nope.
Nobody cares. All right, I think that's enough. I think that's enough Avengers crap. I think we should do shelf or box finally.
Okay.
I'll go first. Obviously, this game's going on my shelf. Will I ever play it again? Who knows? I mean, I probably wouldn't play the Genesis version again because it's freaking hard. I mean, I love it, and I have so many fond memories of when me and my dad would sit there and play that game together. We never could get very far. We would always die, but it was something that meant a lot to me as a kid and still means a lot to me, and I still love this game. And so it's definitely going on the shelf. How about you, Stefan?
Well, I actually own the physical copy in the original box on my shelf, so it's definitely going on the shelf. I do want to point out that the only reason I originally beat this game back in the day on the arcade was because Okay, so when you know what skee ball tables are, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't have to explain that to like the younger
We're not
audience.
going to.
Yeah. Jesus loves skee ball. Anyway, my cousin, who was like 2-3 years younger than me, he would actually go underneath the skee ball tables. And back then they didn't have any locks. So all the tokens that they put in the skee ball tables were just there in a little bag. And he went under there and he grabbed the whole bag and he was just shelling out tokens to everyone that walked by. So that's actually how I originally beat this game. Yeah.
So just note to self, episode 16, evidence of criminal behavior. Yes, keep going.
Exactly.
Also a random Dogma reference.
Exactly. Yes, you caught that. Thank God.
I was like, I think that's Dogma that he's just joked about.
But yeah, so I love this game. I mean, it's pure nostalgia. I mean, and also the fact that it changes up a little bit from just being a simple beat 'em up to incorporating flying levels and fighting a giant sentinel while you're flying around a city. I mean, stuff like
robot,
that.
not a sentinel.
Sorry, a giant robot, not Master Mold, definitely not. And things like that. I mean, really kind of peg it up a level where like other games like what is it called, Streets of Rage. I mean, you're just going left to right. So I mean, this game does add a little to the formula, and I appreciate that. And I've always been a big fan of the Avengers anyway, so it's definitely going on the shelf. What about you, Stuart?
I think I'm gonna have to put it in a box.
Whoa!
Blasphemy off the podcast.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I like Venture Brothers. That's kind of like Avengers. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It was like I like comic books in general. I like comic book stories and stuff. I like that kind of like style. Just this game in general was like so forgettable to me. Where first of all, it was a beat 'em up, which I suck at. So that also did not play into its favor. The music was like pretty good, but it didn't say Avengers to me. Like it was just kind of like generic good music. It's like except it was just that bombastic music. It would fit in a Pokemon game really well. It fit in pretty much any game. Yeah, just like nothing about this game like stood out as really good. The only reason I would say I've really enjoyed it was like the weirdness of it. That is honestly one thing that makes me want to put it on my shelf. It's just like it's really awkward and strange and cheesy. Like I would love to meet the people who made this game and figure out if they knew what they were really doing or if they like read any comic books or they just looked at pictures and they're like, yeah, throw him in there.
Yeah, I like that character.
Yeah. Ultron's cool. People like Ultron. Put him in there. Like
no one. I feel like no one knew who Ultron was at this point.
It was like they found like the most hardcore comic book fan at like a convention or something, and they got him to explain which character should go in and why. And then they didn't talk to that guy for 6 months, and they were like, "Oh shit, what did you say?"
One of his notes was like, "Oh, and make Vision extra buff."
Yeah, Cyclops or Juggernaut has one eye. He was talking about Juggernaut and Cyclops, and they were like, "Fuck, which one had the eye?" It's like, did they both have one eye? I don't remember. Just give him an eye. We'll fix it later. Yeah, it's just like it was kind of fun and it was kind of goofy, but I think I'm just gonna have to put it in my box. It didn't stand out enough to me personally.
Okay. That's kind of. Right. I wasn't sure where we were gonna go with this one. I didn't even know what I was gonna say until I started talking.
It made me want to. And what it did was it really made me go look for like better stuff that I like. Like I was playing this and I was like, I should watch Adventure Brothers again, and that was really fun.
You should watch.
I and that was really fun. But the game itself wasn't that great.
All right, Stuart, would you want to introduce what we're going to be playing next week?
Yes.
The terrible weirdness.
Next week we are playing arguably one of the hardest games ever, and also one of my favorite games of all time, Stalker: Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a special guest on that episode,
and
too.
we are going to have a special guest on that episode. We're going to have Sam Mercer, who's I guess I could say a long-time listener. This is, 16 episodes? A quote-unquote long-time listener. It's 100% of the episodes, so I think that counts.
Yeah, we'll take it.
A long-time listener and first-time guester, Sam Mercer, who was also a huge fan of the game. So I'm super
I can't wait to talk about just because I just need to get it out of I need to get it out of me, so I can't wait next week.
It's such a weird, like, nothing else exists that's particularly like it, and so it'll be fun to talk about and get everyone else to experience a little bit of it.
I just beat it the day before this recording, and I got a whole lot to say next week when we do that episode.
You may be interested to know that I played this and that entire series at least once a year.
I don't know how, but we'll get to that next week.
Yep.
And then before we get out of here, first I want to, if you guys get a chance, I said earlier, please take a listen to that Freak Nation podcast if you like spooky stuff, which you might. And also, since DJ's not here today, I will take over. And I unfortunately don't have written down what we're going to say, but if you got our great intro and outro came to us from
do we need to throw a random whale fact in real quick?
You got. Well, let me finish the plug, then you throw a whale fact.
You do the plug. I'll Google a random whale fact and see if I can't find something.
Mike Stoney, a.k.a. Balby, on SoundCloud. He's the guy who graciously let us use his music for our intro and outro. And so if you get a chance, please feel free to look him up on SoundCloud. And from Stuart, sounds like you got a whale fact for anyone who's still hanging on to us at the moment.
This is on a top 10 list of interesting whale facts.
Oh boy, here we go.
The title of, we're bringing to you live, uncut, unedited, unprepared, intents and purposes. Go, Stuart.
With the subsection name, whale, what do we have here? Which will be, when DJ's not here, that will be what I call it. Because I also really like that name. Again, this is on a top 10 interesting whale facts. This is one of their interesting whale facts is that whales are actually mammals, which means they need to come up for air, unlike fish, which can breathe underwater.
Man.
Wow.
That's why I almost spit out a drink in the middle of this thing.
All right. If you're still listening, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to take a listen to us. If you guys get a chance, please feel free to find us on Facebook, Twitter. I'm using Instagram now. A lot, actually.
Hey.
I actually like Instagram. So, no, please follow us on all those different things. Share us. Let everyone know how wonderful, terrible we are. Hey, we want more people listening. And also, if you're still here, we're going to have a special episode you'll be seeing later, a few days after this one gets published, our special bonus episode we're doing for 1,000 downloads. And I want to thank everyone for their time. And last thing I want to say, this game we played Captain America and the Avengers. And you have a wonderful night, everyone.
America still needs you.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, go.
Here we go.